Hare Krishna, welcome to this episode of Bhagavad Gita. Today we'll be studying chapter 10, texts 27 and onwards from the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna's opulences in this material world. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya, Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूपः कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम् वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगणरघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवम् श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्त राधा कान्त नमोऽस्तुते तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वतीदेवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Bhagavad Gita 10.27 उच्चैः श्रवसम् अश्वानां विद्धिमाम् अमृतोद्भवम् ऐरावतं गजेन्द्राणां नराणां च नराधिपम्। उच्चैः श्रवसम्, उच्चैः श्रवा, ashwanam among horses, vidhi no, mam me, amrita udbhavam produced from the churning of the ocean, airavatam airavata gaja indranam of lordly elephants, naranam among human beings, cha and nara adhipam the king. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation: of horses know me to be Uchai Shrava, produced during the churning of the ocean for nectar. Of lordly elephants I am Airavata, and among men I am the monarch. Purport: the devotee demigods and the demons, asuras, once took part in churning the sea. So this is the milk ocean particularly. There are many types of oceans. Let me see if I can Sapta Jala 5133. So the 7 kinds of oceans are there in the Bhumandalam and also in other planets in this universe basically. Ksharodekshu rasoda suroda ghrutoda kshiroda dadhimandoda suddhodaha sapta jaladhayaha. So of course after that Sapta Dvipa is different. But these are the 7 oceans. So what are they? Ksharoda, Ikshu Rasoda, Ksharoda, Ikshurasoda, Suroda, Ghrutoda, Kshiroda, Dadhi, Mandoda, Shuddhodaha. So, Kshara, salt, Uda, water, saltwater oceans, which we are familiar with. Our planet has saltwater ocean. Ikshurasa, the liquid extract from sugarcane. Uda, water. So, basically, sugarcane juice. Now you may say, how come sugar should come from sugarcane plant? How come it's in an ocean? Well, similarly, the rock are usually in some rocks. I mean, salt, sorry. Salt comes from some rocks. How is it in the ocean? We are used to saltwater ocean, therefore, for us, ocean is a source of salt. But we are not used to sweet water ocean in this planet. So for us, sweet only comes from sugar cane or processed, which is jaggery, or some other plants like what is that, stevia and other such plants. But there is such an ocean. So ksharoda, salt water, ikshurasoda, sweet water, suroda, liquor. There's a liquor ocean as well. Ghrita uda, Ghritoda, that means butter. I mean, clarified butter means ghee, ocean of ghee. Now you may say, what is this? Ghee is a dairy product. It comes from cow. How come it's in an ocean? Again, same thing. It's not that it should only come from one source. In this planet, yes, it has to come from cow. There's milk, and then there is butter, and then ghee, and all these things. But there are other ways of having this, and in those planets, saltwater ocean is unheard of. For them, it's like, how come there is a whole ocean of salt water? Salt comes from this kind of rocks or something like that. They may have different experience of how salt comes. So we have a different experience. That's all it is. It's not that milk must only come from a cow. How come there are oceans of milk? There can be, of course, Kamadhenu cows which can produce unlimited quantities of milk, which may be the case in the heavenly planets and other places where there is milk ocean. And then there's Ghrita, who made the ghee. Somebody has to make the ghee, right? It's not going to be like a natural resource, natural source. Like milk is the primary source, and then from there you have to make yogurt, and then you have to make ghee out of that. But here, Ghritoda and liquor, you have to ferment, substances like rice or sugarcane or different types of plants or grape to get fermented liquid, which is called sura, liquor. Again, that is our experience here in this world. But there are other ways of this manifesting as well. So which we may not be aware of how exactly, but here the mention of such oceans are there. So Ikshura Soda, Suroda, liquor, and then Ghritoda, ghee, ocean of ghee, Kshiroda, which is milk ocean, and Dadhimanda, emulsified yogurt, yogurt ocean, Shuddhodaha, drinking water ocean. Wouldn't that be nice if we had drinking water ocean? But there is such an ocean, drinking water, just clear water. In our atmosphere, salt water actually preserves a lot of, and you can say that, oh, because of the salt, various other processes also happen, and if it was clear water, then it would not have been the same. We experience like that. For the places where there is clear water ocean or ghee ocean or yogurt ocean or milk ocean or liquor ocean, sweet water ocean, they have different experiences. And life, for them, it will appear that, oh, if it was not sweet, if the water was not sugar, if there was no sugar in the water, there would be no life. For them, it will feel like that. For us, it will be, oh, without salt, there wouldn't have been life. So everyone has actually the truth of the matter is life, or these bodies, actually bodies are not the life, the souls inhabiting those bodies, but the bodies are created according to the atmosphere. Not that, oh, the atmosphere was just right for our bodies to exist. No, our bodies were made just right for the atmosphere. It's the other way around. But this is how we usually, for those who are atheistic, they think, oh, it is such an accident that just the right amounts of atmospheric pressure or temperature or salt or all these minerals are in just the right amount of existence. Otherwise, if it was a little more carbon dioxide or a little less oxygen, life would not exist on Earth, is what we think. But our bodies are just made right for this atmosphere. That's it. Whatever be the atmosphere, there are bodies which are just right for that atmosphere. That's what the truth of the matter is. And this is how we should understand Vedic literature. So these seven oceans are there, and then there is in the seven ocean there is this milk ocean, as you can see, Kshiroda, and from that there was a churning of this milk ocean, and the Mandara mountain happened to be the churning rod, and in order to churn the mountain, there was this huge snake which was coiled around the mountain like a rope, and then the demigods on one side, I think the tail side, and the head was held by the demons. In this way, they were um, coiled around the mountain and then pulling on this side and pulling on this side. So there was cooperation between the demons and the demigods in order to churn the milk ocean in order to produce nectar. So there was nectar, there was Lakshmi also came out of that churning, and Uchchaishrava, the horse of the heavenly planets, is the most celebrated horse in the universe. he was born from that ocean churning. And then there was the Airavata elephant, a white elephant with four tusks. The heavenly king Indra, he rides that elephant. So that elephant also was born out of the churning of the milk ocean and from the nectar that came out. So these animals also came out from that. So now we don't have such an experience where sea can be churned by a mountain by two classes of people. But these are not ordinary people, Asuras and Devatas, they are very high in the evolutionary cycle, like humans, and then beyond them are the Kors and Gandharvas, Kinnaras, Siddhas, Charanas, Upadevas, then there are Asuras, then Devatas. And then above that, there are also the sons of Brahma and other Maharloka, Janaloka, Tapoloka, Satyaloka inhabitants. And finally, there's Lord Brahma, and then there's Lord Shiva. Gradations of living entities. So we can churn with a churning rod in the kitchen. They can churn with mountains and the snake as the rope, and they can churn a whole ocean. So things like that have happened, and these are not just some wild phantasmagoria, fantasy stories. No, they are not. This is how things happened. For us, it may appear very out of this world, but they're not. They're possible in other atmospheres. So purport. The devotee demigods and the demons, Asuras, once took part in churning the sea. From this churning, nectar and poison were produced, and Lord Shiva drank the poison. Actually, he kept it in his throat, and the throat became blue in color because of the poison. And enormous amounts of oceans of poison he ingested. Consumed, and his throat became blue with the poison, and that's why he's called Nilakantha. And some poison spilled, and that poison is what we see in different venomous creatures, like the scorpion, the snakes, some frogs, some insects, some spiders, and all these, poisonous. Or actually, there's a difference between poisonous and venomous, because poisonous means when you eat something, it acts as poison, but venomous means when it spits out venom. So that is different. So these venomous creatures, that venom comes from that the poison of the ocean. That milk ocean, where after churning there was this poison that came out. So that is what is explained here. From the nectar were produced many entities, of which there was a horse named Uchchaishrava. Another animal produced from the nectar was an elephant named Airavata. Because these two animals were produced from nectar, they have special significance and they are representatives of Krishna. So on Sunday, we had this Bhagavad Gita class on 10.26, chapter 10, text 26. And we were discussing how, while the modern scientists are still looking for life on other planets and they're trying to go with their machines to other planets. We already know some celebrities on those planets like Indra, Chandra, and Varuna, Kuvera, the treasurer of the heavenly planets. We know. So these important posts we know, like Narada. What was the other 1026? Um, the Gandharvas, Chitraratha, the greatest singer of the Gandharva planet. So we know some of the celebrities of those planets as well. That means there's a whole civilization. And they're the most popular person there. We know some of these names, and now today's verse, we even know some of the animals there, the horse, the elephant there, with their names we are made aware of because of a deductive process of acquiring knowledge. The inductive process is by aroha pantha in Sanskrit it is called, which is we extend our knowledge by our own experimentation and observation, and that's what the scientists are doing. Deductive knowledge is when we receive knowledge from the perfect source and we accept it without argument. And the basis of all logic and everything is that received or revealed knowledge of the Vedic literature, which is given by Krishna himself. We don't try to judge Krishna's knowledge presented in the Vedic scriptures because our intelligence is too finite, too tiny to be able to grasp something which is beyond our control, beyond our experience and powers of reason. And therefore, the best way is to accept the reason of the perfect person and accept whatever given by him as facts and the basis for all logic. Otherwise, logic, what is the basis? There has to be a basis. And the basis of logic of atheists or those who do not believe in God is that as we see nature, as we see the processes, they are the basis. Our perception of nature is the basis of logic, and whatever can be contained within my intelligence is going to be the basis of logic, and anything contrary to that is not logical or illogical or fallacious logic. In this way, people tend to classify, but that's a wrong. So in order, we are never purely logical. We are basing our powers of reason on something. So we should examine what that something is, whether it's my experience or consensus of general mass of people or the consensus of the leading thinkers of the civilization like scientists or other such intellectual heads of the civilization. Either we base our reasoning on their postulations or we can choose to base our um, logic on what is revealed by God. So, to some extent, our reasoning power will work in order for us to, um, you know, evaluate whether there is a God, what, and whatever he's saying, is it validated by my experience? Well, some of them are. Some of them within our purview, experiential purview, are validated, can be validated, but some cannot be validated because they're just beyond our experience, like Airavata or Uchchaishrava. Where are we going to find them? How are we going to find them? How do we know they exist? We cannot. With our experimental endeavors, at this point in time, with our current faculties of not being able to travel to other planets, we can never know. We accept, though, the statements of Bhagavad Gita. Krishna himself is speaking here. So if he has said Uchchai Shrava, we will accept that there is a horse named Uchchai Shrava. Why would he lie? And if he says there is an elephant named Airavata, we will believe. Just like everyone believes E equals mc square. Or something else like quantum physics or quantum entanglement, which are abstract principles. We can never experience them in our physical experience, but we accept these postulations of those imperfect scientists. So why then should we reject the perfect person's version of anything? So that's our standpoint. We are not simply believing anybody and everybody. No, the one, which is God. We believe His words. And these animals were produced from the nectar that came out of the churning of the ocean. Amongst human beings, the king is the representative of Krishna because Krishna is the maintainer of the universe, and the kings who are appointed on account of their godly qualifications are maintainers of their kingdoms. Kings like Maharaj Yudhishthira, Maharaj Parikshit, and Lord Rama were all highly righteous kings who always thought of the citizens' welfare. In Vedic literature, the king is considered to be the representative of God. In this age, however, with the corruption of the principles of religion, monarchy decayed and is now finally abolished, except for a few countries. It is to be understood that in the past, however, people were more happy under righteous kings. It's very interesting. Now it's unimaginable. A monarchy is unimaginable in today's experience, unless you are in some countries where the monarchy is still there and it's abused and they are just oppressed to the max, like North Korea, for example. He's basically a monarch there. So, monarchy actually was the perfect system, and we were very happy. People were very happy under that kingdom. And some experts, some geopolitical experts, they are even saying that in the future, democracy will no longer exist. It will come to a point where democracy will no longer exist and it will go back to kingdoms. Uh, in the future, maybe 200 years from now, around there, if civilization still exists, it will be kingdoms again. Um, well, the quality of those kings, we cannot expect very high quality because this is Kali Yuga and it may become worse and worse unless our Krishna consciousness movement takes precedence and takes prominence in the world. So here, Naranam cha Naradhipam. So if you see, there is a verse, Madhvacharya. Madhvacharya gives this opinion. Harirasmin sthita iti strinam bhartari bhavana शिष्याणां च गुरौ नित्यं शूद्राणां ब्राह्मणादिषु भृत्यानां स्वामिनि तथा हरिभाव उदीरितः. A woman should think of her husband as the Supreme Lord. Similarly, a disciple should think of the spiritual master as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. A Shudra should think of a Brahmana as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And a servant should think of his master as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. In this way, all of them will automatically become devotees of the Lord. In other words, by thinking this way, all of them will become Krishna conscious. Now, what does this mean? So, the leader in each of these cases, the husband for the wife, the Brahmana for the Shudra, the who else are mentioned here? Guru for the disciples, um, master for the servants, and king for the people. They are supposed to be representatives of Krishna. Why we should consider them as representative or consider them as good as Krishna? Because they're supposed to be representative of Krishna. It's not that they should just a woman should think of her husband as Supreme Lord, but the husband also should fulfill that duty towards the woman, which is to direct or conduct or guide the woman as a representative of the Supreme Lord. गुरुर्न स स्यात् स्वजनो न स स्यात् पिता न स स्यात् जननी न सा स्यात् दैवं न तत्स्यान्न पतिश्च स स्यान् नमोचयेद्यः समुपेतमृत्युम्. One who cannot deliver his dependents from the path of repeated birth and death should never become a spiritual master, a relative, a father, a husband, a mother, or a worshipable demigod, or a king. So, king, what is his duty? Prajarakshan. That is what he is supposed to do. Kshatriyo hi Prajarakshan. Now, this is okay. We will go to that verse from Parashara Smriti. क्षत्रियो हि प्रजारक्षन् शस्त्रपाणे प्रदण्डयन् निर्जित्य परसैन्यादि क्षितिं धर्मेण पालयेत्. This is from Parashar Muni, Parashar Smriti 1.61. The Kshatriya's duty is to protect the citizens from all kinds of difficulties, and for that reason he has to apply violence in suitable cases for law and order. Therefore, he has to conquer the soldiers of inimical kings, and thus with religious principles he should rule over the world. We are reading from the purport of chapter 2, text 32. No voice. Now audible. Please let me know if it is audible and if everyone is able to hear what I'm saying. I will just make a check on my side. Yeah, it looks all right on my side. So please let me know in the comments if the audio is coming through. All right, so another verse about the Kshatriyas. There are many. Audible. Okay, good. Thank you, Prabhu. Prajasargabhirakshane. See? Prajasargabhirakshane 42981 Srimad Bhagavatam. The saintly king Prachinabarhi left orders for his sons to protect the citizens. So in the purport, we have the word Prajasarga is very important in this verse. When the saintly king Prachinabarhi was induced by the great sage Narada to leave home and take to the devotional service of the Lord, his sons had not yet returned from their austerities in the water. However, he did not wait for their return but simply left messages to the effect that his sons were to protect the mass of citizens. Now, this is the most important point. According to Veeraraghava Acharya, such protection of the citizens means organizing the citizens into the specific divisions of the 4 varnas and 4 ashramas. The king's duty is to ensure that the entire population is properly situated in the varnashrama dharma. In that way, he can ensure the employability of people because he can make sure that everybody is employed, and he can also ensure their spiritual advancement. Not just, nowadays the kings and presidents or prime ministers, they try to create opportunities for employment by creating jobs, Shudra jobs. Brahmana, Kshatriya posts are vacant, completely vacant, and huge deficit in that department. But the Shudras are plenty, oversupply, so much so that there are many who are left unemployed. So that is not, it's a very, very distorted structure of the society. But Varnashrama Dharma is the proper way to protect the citizens, because if there is unemployment, then he still needs to survive. He needs to feed his family or his parents or whatever. And he will go to illicit means for doing so. And that's how crime rates increase. And then people are put in danger, and the person who commits the crime is in danger because he will have to face the punishment. So in this way, things go out of order because people are not employed according to their guna and karma. Guna karma vibhagasha. So it was the responsibility of the royal order to see that the citizens were following the regulatory principles of the 4 varnas, namely Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya and Shudra, and the ashramas, namely Brahmacharya, Grahastha, Vanaprastha and Sannyas. It is very difficult to rule citizens in a kingdom without organizing this varnashrama dharma. To rule the mass of citizens in a state and keep them in a complete progressive order is not possible simply by passing laws every year in a legislative assembly. The varnashrama dharma is essential in a good government. One class of men, the Brahmanas, must be intelligent and Brahmanically qualified. Another class must be trained in administrative work, Kshatriya, and another in mercantile business, Vaishya, and another simply in labor, Shudra. These 4 classes of men are already there according to nature, but it is the government's duty to see that all 4 of these classes follow the principles of their varnas methodically. This is called abhirakshana or protection. Praja sargabhirakshane is the duty of the kshatriya, and here Veera Raghavacharya gives the meaning of what this protection is, and it is not just to punish criminal, or defend from opposing armies of other kingdoms. That's not the only protection. Protection materially, yes, spiritually, which is more important. So that's why Naradhipam, Naranam cha Naradhipam. So a king is a um, representative of Krishna. Even who was that? Sanatan Goswami. I don't know where exactly. In the when the Nawab Hussain Shah, he tells that, oh, you are the king, so you are the representative of God for me. So he speaks like that in a diplomatic manner. But there, Prabhupada also explains. I don't know if I can take it out. Hmm. The king or president must be the representative. Not this one. Oh, this is all lectures. Oh, yeah. So Prabhupada is explaining here. So when he personally came to the house of Sanatan Goswami, he was not at that time Goswami. His name was Dabir Khan or Khan Shah. So he was received very well, and when the Nawab said there was some topics, conversation with the minister and the Nawab, it's the one. Okay, so yeah, so let's read that part. So he was received very well, and when the Nawab Shah said there were some topics, conversation with the minister and the Nawab, the minister wanted to resign. Sanatan Goswami wanted to resign, and Nawab Shah did not like that idea. So at last, it was Nawab Shah said that if you whimsically resign from your responsible post, then I shall arrest you. At this order, Sanatan Goswami replied that if you think I shall be punished, I shall accept it because you are God's representative. You are God's representative. So this was the idea of king and Nawab. Now altogether he was Mohammedan and he was a Brahmana. But so far the respect of a king is concerned, Sanatan Goswami rightly told him that you are Nawab, you are king, you are not ordinary man. Therefore you are empowered by the Supreme Lord. So anything you punish, because king's punishment has to be accepted. And in the Manu Samhita it is said that when king punishes a citizen, he is reduced in his sinful action so that he may not be subjected in his next birth for that sinful reaction if he undergoes the punishment of a king. These things are stated there. So, of course, he was diplomatically talking to him, but honestly, Sanatan Goswami is way above an ordinary king or what to speak of a Mohammedan king. Culture wise and everything, Sanatan Goswami was worlds beyond him. So, I mean, we have an example in the case of Jadabharat and King Rahugana. King Rahugana was going to punish Jadabharat, but Jadabharat, he reprimanded Jadabharat already, and Jadabharat actually enlightened him, and Rahugana accepted his mistake and apologized. So actually, Nawab Hussain Shah should have just allowed him to go because he should understand that he is going to surrender to Krishna. But of course, he was not that intelligent, and therefore he wanted to arrest him. He was just thinking materially. So although Sanatan Goswami was saying all these things, uh, it was a little different. But still, Sanatan Goswami considered, okay, you for some reason you are there. I mean, without Krishna's sanction, you wouldn't be as the king there. So, okay, I accept. So, even in a situation where the king is not really the representative of God per se, it is the one who is, I mean, Sanatan Goswami showed by example that even in such cases, we have to accept. But of course, later on, he bribed the jail officer and then ran away from the prison. So he did not really undergo the full punishment of the king. because it was for a spiritual reason. It was much higher than, if it was ordinary punishment, it's a different thing. But Sanatana Goswami was doing it for spiritual reasons, and we need not fully keep to the etiquette um, if it is for Krishna. So, just like Prahlad Maharaj did not keep to the etiquette of obeying his father, which we otherwise should do, because it was for Krishna. So, similarly, when it comes to Krishna, sometimes just like Arjuna had to let go of the etiquette of respecting the elders but fight with them on a battlefield because it was for Krishna. So, that takes precedence over everything else. And Bali Maharaj rejected his own guru because he was doing it for Krishna, and his guru was saying, "No, don't do it to Krishna. Don't give everything to Krishna." And Bali Maharaj rejected. So, in situations like that, one can reject the order of the for a spiritually higher reason, and which is why even the four Kumaras, when they rejected the order of Brahma to marry, Brahma was angry about it because they were disobedient, but he controlled his anger because he knew that they were actually doing this for a higher purpose than his purpose. And so he could not really release his anger, and that anger from the middle of his eyebrows came out Rudra, Lord Shiva, and he was the destructive force, Tamoguna, tamasic force in this universe, came from the anger of Lord Brahma. So we can understand from this that, for higher reasons sometimes this etiquette can be given up, but in the course of dealings we should still maintain. And therefore, even for our prosecution of our Krishna consciousness movement, in whichever country we are, we will try to follow the laws of the land and preach Krishna consciousness at the same time, respecting the law of the land. Of course, sometimes it does happen that, in a perfectly demoniac society, you cannot expect to follow the laws every time. And Prabhupada's time itself, so many devotees were arrested because they were chanting on the streets. But there's nothing wrong with chanting on the streets. But those governments did not like it, and they put them in jail. So just went to the jail for Krishna, and then came out and did again. And after some time, the police just gave up on them. Anyway, they are not really harmful, to just what to do with these people, just like that. So that was the 70s. Now, even in Singapore, you cannot go on the streets to chant. So such rules are there in some countries. Sometimes we will have to follow that. In China, it's you forget it. You cannot even preach on a chat message. You'll be banned from the chat messaging app. They're that strict about it. So sometimes you have to find ways and means to somehow or other exist and preach, even in those conditions. So at that times you may be seen as an outlaw, but rest assured that Krishna is the real maker of laws. We have to follow his laws. As far as possible, we would not want to, agitate a situation in any country. But sometimes, to preach, you have to preach nonetheless, however possible. So where there is enough, there is some room for risk taking, not being foolhardy at the same time, but calculated risks sometimes we have to take in order to preach. It's part of preaching. In fact, it is the test of our faith that sometimes we will have to take some calculated risks in our preaching work. But the principle is this, that like Sanatana Goswami, he said, "Oh, you are the Naradhipa, so you are empowered by Krishna." And it is a fact. Whether one is religious or non-religious, unless one is empowered by Krishna, he cannot preside over the functions of the government like that. Okay, so coming back. So among the men, I am monarch. So in this way, we have to understand. So, in this way, what another point here is, when we see the king as the representative of Krishna, we also learn this principle of dāsa 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 anudasa. And every morning in the, like, Guru has to be the representative of Krishna for the disciple. Just now we have read Madhvacharya what he said in 7:11:29 purport. So the Shudra has to consider the Brahmana as the supreme personality of God. What does that mean? Because the representative of Krishna, they have to be respected and worshipped as good as Krishna. Of course, those people in that respect responsible positions must act according to that principle. And the inferiors, they have to offer the respect to such superiors wholeheartedly. That is a very healthy state. And with that, we also learn the principle of dāsa 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 anudasa. And every morning we sing in the Gurvashtaka, Sakshat Dharitvena Samasta Shastrair Uktastatha Bhavyata Eva Sadbhi. So, Kintu Prabhorya Priya Eva Tasya Vande Guru Shri Charanaravinda. So, Guru should be worshipped as good as God. Not that he is God, but because he is Kintu Prabhorya Priya Eva Tasya. He is very dear to God. And dear to God means when something is dear to God, it is dear to him more than himself. Like Tulasi. Tulasi, Tadiya. Tulasi is very dear to Krishna, so much so that he considers her more than himself, more important than himself. Radharani is very dear to Krishna. Radha Kund is very dear to Krishna. Very dear means it is more than Krishna because he considers them more than himself. That's why Krishna is called Bhagavan Bhakta Bhaktiman. 1086:59. Evam Swabhaktayo Rajan Bhagavan Bhakta Bhaktiman. So what is Bhakta Bhaktiman? Bhagavan means Krishna. Bhakta Bhaktiman. Bhaktiman means devotees. Bhakta of his devotee. He is the devotee of his own devotees. O king, thus the personality of Godhead, who is devoted to his own devotees, stayed for some time with his two great devotees, Shrutadeva and Bahulashva, teaching them the behavior of perfect saints. Then the Lord returned to Dwarka. But that line is very important. Bhagavan Bhakta Bhaktiman. So when something is dear to Krishna, it is more important than himself. Krishna says, Bhaktyamam abhijanati. Only by bhakti you can come to me, because bhakti I consider it as most dearest method. That means bhakti is more powerful than Krishna. That's why Radharani, who is the personification of bhakti, she is called Madan Mohan Mohini. And bhakti is called one of the 6 aspects of bhakti as listed by Rupa Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu is called Krishna Karshini. Krishna Akarshini. Bhakti attracts Krishna. 11. न साधयति मां योगो न सांख्यं धर्म उद्धव न स्वाध्यायस्तपस्त्यागो यथा bhaktirmamorjita. My dear Uddhava, the unalloyed devotional service rendered to me by my devotees brings me under their control. I cannot thus be controlled by those engaged in mystic yoga, Sankhya philosophy, pious work, Vedic study, austerity, or renunciation. See, to control the all powerful Krishna, that power should be more powerful than Krishna himself. Otherwise, how to control someone if you're not powerful enough? So, bhakti is so powerful that bhakti brings the Supreme Lord under the control of his devotees. He asvatantra eva dvija. Bhaktair bhaktajana priya sadhubhir grasta hridayo. The sadhus, they can imprison me in their heart, capture me in their heart because of the power of their bhakti. Mother Yashoda, she was trying to bind Krishna with rope. She could not. All the rope of the house was finished, but she could not bind Krishna. But when Krishna allowed, because of her bhakti, uh, uh, she was able to tie the Lord. Damodar. Damodar month will come. Today is the third Chaturmasya month, Chaturmasya Vrata. And the fourth month is the Damodar month. Today is the start of the third month. So next month, about 17th or somewhere around there, starts the Damodar month, Damodar Mas. And in that we sing this Damodarashtaka prayers, where Krishna Dama Udara, Dama means tied up, Udara means belly, who was tied at his belly. So with what he was tied? Not really with a rope. That rope is Bhaktarajjum. Bhaktarajju means the rope of devotion. With that, with the rope of devotion only he can be tied. So therefore, bhakti is even more powerful than Krishna. Which is why Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked in the Shikshashtaka, Nadhanam najanam nasundarim kavitam va jagadisha kamaye mama janmani janmanishware bhavatat bhakti rahetu kitvayi. I don't want material benedictions, I don't want spiritual benedictions, I just want bhakti. Wherever I may be, even if I have to take birth in this material world, it's alright. But I want bhakti. The material world, which is so dangerous place, the devotee is so confident even to live here because of the strength of bhakti. He does not aspire to go to even Krishna's direct association as much as he wants to be in his service. That powerful bhakti is. In one article, Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, Vaishnavas are actually the real Shaktas. Shakta is a person who worships Shakti or Durga or you know or her expansions. So Durga worshippers are called Shaktas, or also those who are material sense gratifiers are also Shaktas because they are trying to enjoy this material world. They worship significant aspects of this material world like money or power and all these things. And that is what is that? That is the power of Durga, Maya. So those who think these things as to be important and put them on a pedestal, they are Shaktas. Whether they worship Durga in her form for material benefits again, or they're after material benefits, which is nothing but Durga's manifestations only. So material sense gratifiers, they are known as Shaktas, who worship the Shakti of Krishna. Shaktiman is Krishna always. The devotees, however, Vaishnavas, you may say they are not Shaktas, but actually they worship Radharani and they take shelter of her to go to Krishna. And therefore, they are also Shaktas, but Yogamaya, not Mahamaya. And she is the pinnacle of Yogamaya and Hladani Shakti, Radharani. So Srimati Radharani we worship. In our Hare Krishna Mahamantra also, Krishna comes 4 times, Rama comes 4 times, but Hara comes 8 times, which is Radharani. So we are worshippers of Srimati Radharani. So that is Shakta, spiritual Shaktas we are actually. We worship Radharani as even greater than Krishna in the sense that she is a dearmost servitor of Krishna, and without her mercy we cannot go to Krishna. So, in that way. But this is the other aspect of it. It is understood, however, that in the past, in this age, however, with the corruption of the principles of religion, monarchy decayed and is now finally abolished. But still, we have, leader we still have, although it's with a democratic process, we still have a leader. We want to be led by a good government. We cannot say that I don't want a government, I want to be free. Then you will have anarchy where everybody is free to kill anybody and nobody is in safety. Everybody is in danger. So the suffering that we get from so-called freedom in this material world, nobody wants that. So do we really want freedom or we want protection, safety? Freedom is not equal to safety, it is the exact opposite of it. In fact, even in our own actions, if we are free to act, if we are allowed to act freely without any constraint, then we will engage in sinful activity which is detrimental to ourselves. So it is not um, desired. Freedom is not desired. In a we should be willing to be guided so that we can be safe in our activity. So whatever I am doing, am I doing the right thing? It's not that no, I just want to be able to do anything that I want. This is liberation. This is freedom of expression. Yeah, you are. If you want freedom of expression, you will be given so much freedom of expression that if I want to express yourself like a pig, having sex with anybody and everybody, yes, you will be given a pig's body so to express yourself fully. Oink oink, shout like a pig also, and be in garbage and enjoy life. Full expression, power of expression. You will be given freedom of expression, and you can travel naked. No need any clothes, naked, and have hundreds of girlfriends. Make your mother your girlfriend. Anything goes. Full expression, freedom of expression. If you want freedom of expression, Krishna will give full freedom. Why unnecessarily human body and you have to like struggle in this society with so many rules and regulations? You cannot stand naked. You cannot have sex with your mother. So many rules are there. You become pig and fully express yourself. So that freedom of expression he will give. So it's not about freedom of expression. We should know what is to be feared and what is not to be feared. We should not be a daredevil. We'll become a devil if we dare too much. We need to know what is to be feared and what is not to be feared. And we should conduct ourselves accordingly. And we need somebody to guide us. What I'm supposed to be doing, what I'm not supposed to be doing. I should know so that I'm safe, I'm protected. Protection is what we want. We think sometimes freedom is that protection. It is not. Nobody likes an anarchy. You take any anarchical country, it is in a mess. Yeah? It's in a mess. Only well-ruled countries are you can have some safety. So that is how we have to understand. But today, Mlecha Rajanya Rupinaha. 12:140. Okay. Asanskritaah. Okay. स्त्रीबालगो द्विजघ्नाश्च परदारधनादृताः उदितास्तमितप्राया अल्पसत्त्वाल्पकायुषः असंस्कृताः क्रियाहीना रजसा तमसावृताः प्रजास्ते भक्षयिष्यन्ति म्लेच्छा राजन्यरूपिणः. Today's rulers. These barbarians in the guise of kings will devour the citizenry, murdering innocent women, children, and mind you, they're already doing it. Abortion, what is it? Murdering children by the millions. 73 million children a year, 200,000 children a day, murdering. Barbarians, this is barbaric. We are actually already in a barbaric civilization. It's not a civilization, it's the opposite of civilization. We are not civilized. It's a barbaric, backward, you know, uh, savage society we are living in, where children are murdered, where women murder their own children or pay someone to do so. They will devour the citizenry, tax them to the max, murdering innocent women. Now you see the wars happening. Civilians are all killed. Children, cows, everywhere they're eating beef. I mean, these are, we're already seeing it. You know what the problem is though? The beef burger will be in a very polished McDonald's setting. Oh, that's clean. That's, class A, like super modern. Oh, you can on a screen you can just touch and order your things, or you can just call or an app and you can have it delivered in your house. Meet. So these conveniences we think it as advancement, but what are we doing with those? Eating cows, eating chicken, eating everything under the sun. That's a barbaric savagery. But we are taking such savage society as civilization. This is barbaric. Barbaric. Murdering what? Children, cows, and brahmanas, and coveting the wives and property of other men. You see, looted today. The rulers, they have no moral character. Most of them have multiple marriages, and this is like common. Oh, that's his personal life. This is his. We have to kind of adjust with that. Nobody is like perfect, and even their policies are very destructive. Let's say that is his personal life. His policy, what is his policy? Devour the citizens. Coveting the wives and property of other men. So much corruption. They have so much property. Where did they get it from? Obviously, they looted from someone else. They were not born with their property. They will be erratic in their moods and have little strength of character. Hardly any strength of character. No character. And be very short lived. Indeed, not purified by any Vedic rituals and lacking in the practice of regulative principles, they will be completely covered by the modes of passion and ignorance. This is the so-called Naradhipa of Kali Yuga. So these kind of rulers, they will bring hell upon the citizens. Hell. Vena was like that. They were, when in the rule of Vena, many dacoits were curbed. There were no dacoits, there were no thieves. All these people no more did all those crimes. Why? And you may think it is good because he was the biggest criminal. Nobody dared to go against him. So that kind of stopping of crime. But he is also a criminal. Anybody honestly who is not Krishna conscious is a criminal. Stena eva sochate. This is Bhagavad Gita. There's no two ways about it. Anyone who is not Krishna conscious is basically Stena. Stena eva saha. In charge of the various necessaries of life, the demigods, being satisfied by the performance of yajna or sacrifice, will supply you necessaries of life, will supply all necessaries to you. But he who enjoys such gifts without offering them to the demigods in return is certainly a thief. So demigods means they're of course giving it on behalf of Krishna, on the order of Krishna. So if we don't recognize this arrangement, then we're a thief. We're thieves. So that's a criminal. So now today, all the rulers cannot be really said as they are, representatives of God, but still, in the ordinary course of dealings, we have to consider them representatives of God and abide by their rules as much as possible, so that because if we are unnecessarily go against them in every single regard, we cannot even exist properly. So we have to be practical, and we want to preach Krishna consciousness. We are not at a war with these people. In fact, we want to help them. They may not understand our help very well, because if they allow us to perform, preach Krishna consciousness, there will be such a good society that the government will benefit so much from it. But they do not understand our contribution from where we come from. In our what our real service is to the society. They do not understand this, and therefore they may consider us upstarts or anything like that. So we don't want to agitate them more. Yes, sometimes we do take some calculated risks, but not with any ill intention or to do something against the government or something like that, but to further this Krishna consciousness movement, which will ultimately help the government and make the people much better, and everything will become much more smoother. So for all practical purposes, we should consider them as representatives of God and follow the rules and regulations that are there, so that we can live peacefully and preach. We should thank them for, at least doing this much duty where at least the human being class of people are a little bit safer. Of course, the animals are not, which is not good at all. But if there is some safe space for humans, at least, if the humans can be preached to, then eventually it will cascade. The cascading effect will be there, and then humans will turn less violent and they will stop killing animals, and eventually there is hope for civilization to reclaim its spiritual nature. Otherwise, it's just a spiral downwards. All right, so what else do we have? Do we end here? 9:10 p.m. We can end here if we want, or we can just do one more verse maybe. Let's see, 2028, what is there? आयुधानाम् अहं वज्रं धेनूनाम् अस्मि कामधुक् प्रजनश्चास्मि कन्दर्पः सर्पाणाम् अस्मि वासुकिः. So this is, of course, a lot can be said. This is another topic. We can go to this maybe next class. Maybe we can. Some people are saying one more verse. Okay, we'll just do one more verse then. Ayudhanam aham vajram. That's interesting. There are many ayudhas. Ayudha means weapon. So, okay, let's read the verse. Ayudhanam aham vajram dhenunam asmi kamathuk prajanaschasmi kandarpah sarpanam asmi vasukihi. Ayudhanam, of all weapons, aham, I am, vajram, the thunderbolt. Dhenunam, of cows, asmi, I am, kamadhuk, the surabhi cow, or kamadhenu. Prajanaha, the cause for begetting children. Cha, and asmi, I am, kandarpah, cupid, sarpanam, of serpents, asmi, I am, vasuki, vasuki. Translation and purpose by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Of weapons, I am the thunderbolt. Among cows, I am the surabhi. Of causes for procreation, I am Kandarpa, the god of love, and of serpents, I am Vasuki. Now, this will take some time to explain. Anyway, I'll just try to be brief here. Of weapons, I am the thunderbolt. Now, there are many weapons which are very powerful. Nuclear weapons, you can say, are very, very powerful. Thunderbolt, well, if we experience thunderbolt, I mean, not people die, people don't really die in the thunderbolt that we experience, but nuclear weapon is just widespread destruction. So why Krishna said, I'm among the weapons, I'm the thunderbolt? And who would consider thunderbolt a weapon? Because it's just a natural electrical discharge between some static electricity or whatever. Well, there are electric weapons, and thunderbolt is an electrical weapon, a weapon of electricity. And Indra's weapon is actually Vajrayudha. And the thunderbolt that we experience, the lightning thunderbolt, is very small, honestly. Because if Krishna, when the demigods, the devatas are having war with the asuras, the Devasura Yuddha, Indra uses the Vajrayudha, the lightning, and with that he kills thousands and thousands and thousands, millions even. So he can direct that force and make that force so very destructive, and especially when there is a Samvartaka clouds, and the clouds at the time of devastation, universal devastation, there is lightning and thunder. That lightning and thunder is just unimaginably powerful, and so we do not experience the full force of thunderbolt here, although we get a glimpse of the power by the sound and the light it produces and the crackling, the fear it induces in many people. The other day, I think 2 weeks ago, we were in the farm. I mean, in the Malagiri Dham in Malaysia, and there was heavy rain and then massive lightnings and thunders. It was quite a spectacle to watch. And the sound was just unearthly sound, just so destructive. Um, Even the sound appeared so destructive. Of course, nuclear weapon is also unimaginably powerful, and Brahmastra is the most, you can say, the most one of the most powerful. But there's also even more powerful weapons like the Pashupatastra and Narayanastra is the most powerful, and even more than that is the Sudarshan Chakra of the Lord. But nonetheless, among the, at least until the Swargalok, the thunderbolt is the biggest weapon, more than even the nuclear weapons. Modern, I think the modern scientists they have not realized how powerful a thunderbolt can be as a weapon, and more importantly, they actually do not know how to harness it as a weapon, how to control it, because it looks like some uncontrolled random light and sound. But Indra has full control of it, full control. Um, because it is beyond our control, we did not even attempt. We have no power to attempt to make it into a weapon, to weaponize Thunderbolt. But Indra has such power. We think nuclear weapons are the most, most destructive. But Indra's Thunderbolt is even more destructive than our nuclear weapons. Otherwise, Krishna would not say that among the weapons I am the Thunderbolt. This is how we understand Vedic literature once again. In our current experience, Thunderbolt is not a very powerful thing compared to a nuclear bomb. But if Krishna is saying that among the weapons I am the Thunderbolt, we should only understand in this way that we have not seen the real power of a weaponized Thunderbolt. What goes on in the during the rain is just like some display of it, but when it is weaponized, it's just probably the most destructive weapon. And also it is targeted, like sometimes we see destruction with the thunderbolt where trees, like long standing trees, just takes the thunderbolt and then it's dead within a millisecond. So it's targeted with that kind of power and force directed towards one living entity, the tree, and then wiped out. uh, the existence is finished. And likewise, people have died by being hit by a thunderbolt. It's so targeted, and the force is just, we cannot do anything about it. We just have to die. And in an instant, we won't even know. Electric shock, fire, everything at the same time is just destructive. So probably we don't even know what the power of the thunderbolt is, and if we weaponize it. But Krishna is saying this, so we have to accept that. Among cows, I am the Surabhi or the Kamadhenu. Okay, let's go to the purport. The thunderbolt, indeed a mighty weapon, represents Krishna's power. In Krishna Loka, in the spiritual sky, there are cows which can be milked at any time and they give as much milk as one likes. Of course, such cows do not exist in this material world, but there is a mention of them in Krishna Loka. The Lord keeps many such cows which are called Surabhi. It is stated that the Lord is engaged in herding the Surabhi cows. Kandarpa is the sex desire for presenting good sense. Okay, let's go to Kandarpa later. Surabhi cow. Now, although there are no cows in this material world that compared to the Surabhi cow, there is the Kamadhenu, which is not as powerful as the Surabhi cow of the spiritual world, of course, but it has some of the aspects of the Surabhi cow in the material world, in the heavenly planets. If I'm not wrong, when Indra was offering his prayers, was there a cow also? So, chapter 27 of the 10th canto, which contains 28 verses, describes how King Indra, upon seeing Krishna's unlimited power, worshipped Lord Krishna, who was fully bathed with milk supplied by Mother Surabhi and who thus became known as Govinda. So, if we go to this chapter here, so here, yeah, you see, Indra, along with the cow Surabhi, then performed a bathing ceremony for Krishna using the water of the heavenly Ganga and the milk of Mother Surabhi. Indra and the cow took this opportunity to bestow upon the Lord the name Govinda, and demigods showered flowers and recited various prayers. So there is a Surabhi in the heavenly planets, and Indra, she came with Indra and bathed the Lord. But this Surabhi is not as powerful as and even Kalpavrikshas, the desire tree. There are desire trees in the heavenly planets which can give us anything we want. But the desire trees of Krishna Loka are far, far more powerful than the desire trees of the heavenly planets. So when we say that, this is there in the spiritual world but not in the material world, there are glimpses of such things in the material world, but it's just that we are not aware of. In the heavenly planets, there are to a certain degrees of that, but not the full. Just like Narada Muni, for example, he can go anywhere and everywhere, full freedom, right? But the Siddhaloka planetary system, in the Siddhaloka, the people are born with these perfections of being able to go anywhere and everywhere. But Narada can go even more than those Siddhaloka inhabitants because he can go to spiritual world and material world at will. So they also have powers. He has even more powers. It's not that until Brahmaloka nobody has any powers and then beyond that everyone has full power. No. As one goes higher and higher, the powers increase. So there is Surabhi cow, but it's not that like there is a Shvetadvip planet in this material world, and then Goloka Vrindavan also is called a Shvetadvip because it is white with the milk of the Surabhi cows that Krishna is tending to. The spiritual Surabhi cows, and then there is a heavenly Surabhi cows, which are a little bit lesser than the not little bit, by far very less compared to the spiritual Surabhi cows of the spiritual world. Um, so in this material world, there is a Surabhi cow which is in the heavenly planets. Of course, in the purport, Krishna Prabhupada is explaining that Surabhi, there is no Surabhi cow in this material world, but in the spiritual world, yeah, there is nothing in the material world that equals the Surabhi cow of the spiritual world, but there is to a certain extent in the heavenly planets. And again, this kind of cows, how do we know such existence, that kind of cows exist? Kamadhenu cows. And Vashishta and Vishwamitra, you know the story. If you know the story, the Kamadhenu is what attracted Vishwamitra to the powers of Vashishta. And then there was this whole altercation between them. But the Surabhi cow, the Kamadhenu cow he had. So there is a Kamadhenu cow, and there are Kamadhenu cows even in this material world, but to a certain extent. Again, so how would the existence of such cows be known to us who don't have such experience of such a cow? Again, by Shastric reference. And we should not take these statements as just mythological or symbolical or some kind of indirect explanations of something else. No. Mukhya vritti. We have to take it as it is, as they're explained. Prajanaschasmi kandarpaha. I am Kandarpa. Of causes for procreation, I am Kandarpa. Kandarpa means Cupid, the attraction between male and female. Here in the purport, Prabhupada explained, Kandarpa is the sex desire for presenting good sons. Therefore, Kandarpa is the representative of Krishna. So, sex should be engaged in only within marriage ties for procreation of good sons. Women may ask, no, not daughters. See, daughters are the default birth. If there is pregnancy, by default it is a girl. It takes extra to deliver a boy. That is according to Ayurveda. By default, it's a girl. Usual pregnancies will be a girl. So it is said that if the secretion of the man is more during conception, then more than the woman, then it will be a boy. Which is why there is one injunction in the Manu Samhita which says that a man must marry a beautiful woman. What about the ugly woman then? What will happen to them? So it is said like that because there has to be some principle of attraction for the man so that there may be a male child. Otherwise, there will be female children. That's by default. But why is there this so called partiality for male over female? It's not exactly a partiality. You have to understand how civilization works. Um, Women have to be protected anyway. Hmm? And we need men. And there are always fewer men than women in society, and sometimes, therefore, in Vedic civilization, one man is allowed to accept more than one wife in order to protect them. Um, but at the same time, putra means putrarthe kriyate bharya putra pinda prayojanam. So putra means one who punnama narakad trayate iti putra. So one who delivers his father from going to hell, he is a putra, son. Otherwise, he is mutra, urine. No better than urine. Both come from the same place. So a putra can do the Shraddha ceremony for his father. A girl cannot do. That's the Vedic, because she will belong to another family. So in this way, putrarthe kriyate bharya. So one has to get a son. That's the usual. Of course, we are not against girl child. But this took a very dark turn in India, and it became a very abuse against women and children that is certainly condemned. But it's a perverted so-called following or adherence to Vedic scriptures. When just like when Varnashram dharma was abused and it became a caste system, Asura Varnashram. Similarly, this Asura kind of following of Manu Samhita has brought about a bad name even for scriptures. Because many Hindus, they don't like Manu Samhita. They hate Manu Samhita. Oh, it is very, uh, kind of strict against women, or even borderline abusive, or even sometimes straight up seemingly abusive, but it's not. There are reasons why these things are mentioned. But because of misunderstanding and not understanding the real purport of these things, therefore we need Acharya to explain these Shastras, Dharma Shastras or Artha Shastras, or our the highest Shastra, which is Srimad Bhagavatam. So all these Vedic literature, we have to understand it through the Acharya. Then we will know the real import of real meaning of these scriptures. Otherwise, we don't. Now, Kandharpa is the sex desire for presenting good sons. And also, for the society to move forward, we need men. Men who are responsible, good character, religious. Such men are needed. They have to be kings, they have to be valiant warriors, they have to be everything that comes with masculinity, which is a force for good, has to be there. When it's abused, anything is bad. Even femininity used for bad reasons is bad, masculinity used for bad reasons is bad. That's different. But Kandharpa is this. So that's why Krishna said, what's that? धर्माविरुद्धो भूतेषु कामोऽस्मि भरतर्षभ. I am sex life which is not contrary to religious principles, O Lord of the Bharatas. And from this, we have other um, messages from the statement of Krishna, where he says, Prajanatas chasmi, what is that? Kandarpaha. Let's go back. What is the exact word there? Prajanas chasmi kandarpaha. That means sex desire is to produce children. Homosexuals are not going to have children from their sex life. Transgender, homosexual, all this is condemned in the Vedas because it is not good. Now, people may say whatever they want, but this is illicit sex. This is not sanctioned sex by um, Krishna. Sex has to be only for the matter of procreation within family ties. That's it. One verse is enough to answer the entire transgender LGBTQ movement. One verse. Can you produce children with your sex life? You can't. That's it. It's illicit. What to speak of transgenderism, even within man and woman? Contraceptives, abortion, everything is illicit. With outside of marriage is illicit. Only within marriage for procreation is licit or legitimate. Everything other than that is illicit. What to speak of such base or deviant or demoniac activities as homosexuality and bestiality? You know what is bestiality is even worse. Having sex with animals. That is called bestial, really, sex. Having sex with animals as well. Sometimes they do it with dogs, sometimes they do it with other animals like that. It's horrible. You know. Sarpanam asme Vasuki hai. Of all snakes, he is Vasuki. He did not say anaconda. So again, with Vasuki, this kind of snake, the Vasuki snake is actually not found on this planet. Again, an extraterrestrial being. All the so many extraterrestrial or some creature not of the earth are mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. Even non-human species are mentioned. So this is again testament to what our Bhagavad Gita, our spiritual knowledge, how extensive it is. That we speak of such beings as some celebrity on a heavenly planet or animals of the heavenly planets as if they are like common knowledge, whereas the scientists are trying their best to find out one single microbe on another planet, one single virus or bacteria. If they find, they're very happy. They're not able to find. But we know this kind of information, and again, the answer how they exist. If we can't see them, where are they? Where is the proof that they exist? Well, they exist differently, not exactly in the way we may conceive. They don't have the necessary hardware to access, to perceive them. Okay, so maybe I'll stop it there. See, um, sometimes sex is engaged in only for sense gratification. Such sex does not represent Krishna. So when it means that it does not represent Krishna, means it is sinful. It is sinful, and we have to pay for that sin. But sex for the generation of good children is called Kandarpa and represents Krishna. So nothing is denied, but everything has to be dovetailed in the service of Krishna. We are not bhogis, we are not tyagis, we are only sevis, bhaktas. So we are not enjoyers of the material world, we are not renouncers of the material world either. Because if we renounce the material world, that is another side of attachment. Because aversion is nothing but another side of attachment. But if we do not engage the material world in our sense gratification, but rather use everything in Krishna's service, that is real renunciation. Anasaktasya vishayan yatharham upayunjatah Nirbandha Krishna sambandhe yuktam vairagyam uchyate. That is it. Otherwise, prapanchakataya buddhya harisambandhi vastunah mumukshubhihi parityago vairagyam phalgu kathyate. Uh, This is phalgu vairagyam. Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Okay. When persons eager to achieve liberation renounce things related to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, thinking them to be material, their renunciation is called incomplete. Phalgu Vairagya. Renunciation is complete when it is in the knowledge that everything in existence belongs to the Lord and that no one should claim proprietorship over anything. One should understand that factually nothing belongs to anyone. Then where is the question of renunciation? I can only renounce something which I had before, but if nothing was mine at all at any time, what am I renouncing? So I cannot really renounce anything because nothing was mine in the first place. And also, I should ensure that not only I, but nobody else should lay claim of proprietorship to such property. If I say, "Oh, this is not mine, I will not enjoy this," but somebody else may enjoy. No, no, no. They should also not enjoy. It should be given to Krishna, and that is the proper way. That is proper. Otherwise, it's Phalgu Vairagya. Even those who rich people, who do some charitable work for poor people, they are also in Phalgu Vairagya because they're trying to like give away their wealth and then giving it to someone else as it belongs to them. But that is also not correct. It should be given to Krishna, and through Krishna they can be given like Krishna Prasadam. They can be given, not money or not some food or something like that, just without serving Krishna. And give it to Krishna means give it to the mission of Krishna and then print books, use that money to print books, construct temple where people can come and learn. And immediate bodily needs, yeah, give them food as prasadam. And but also cater to their mental and intellectual and emotional needs by giving them Bhagavad Gita, chanting, these things. And it will not just emotional, mental, intellectual, but it's a spiritual need of the soul. And when that is satisfied, everything else, it cascades onto everything else. Materially, automatically, everything will be satisfied. So, that is the meaning of giving to Krishna. Giving to Krishna, through Krishna, we serve everyone. We serve everyone. Like one of the so called institutions, philanthropic institutions in India, and they have here also. They say, love all, serve all. And another such institution, they say, service to man is service to God. Manava Seva is Madhava Seva. So they say things like these, but it's not correct. In fact, Prabhupada argued very cleverly. Somebody said to him, Manava Seva is Madhava Seva. So by serving man, we can serve God. Then Prabhupada said, then your philosophy is defect. Because you cannot serve all men. If Manav Seva is Madhava Seva, you cannot serve all of Manavta. So Madhava is not satisfied. But my process is better, Prabhupada said, where I serve only Madhava and Manav Seva will automatically. Because he said if Manav Seva is Madhav Seva, then Madhav Seva is Manav Seva. When I serve Madhava, Manava will be satisfied. All human society will be served. But if I serve Manav, Madhav is not served. And even if I say it is Manav Seva, is Madhav Seva, I cannot serve the entire human society, and therefore I cannot serve Madhav also. So Prabhupada said, in this way, our philosophy is better. Even by taking their own adage, he defeated them. Such genius argument that was. And serving poor people with the rich people serving the poor without Krishna, it's again same thing. Oh, I'm renouncing this thing for somebody else's benefit. But you're giving that money or some meat or some non-prasadam food. That is not, or giving them education in order to become. No, actually, there is a huge scam. This so-called education that they say education, oh, we are empowering them with education. These are all euphemisms. Honestly, behind that there is an agenda. What is that agenda? Unless you are educated like Westerners, you are not educated. You are undereducated. You do not know things. We will teach you. So basically, Westernize them so that they hold Western society in reverence and adore the West. And in that way, culturally, this is called soft power. You don't have to use military guns to show your power, but this is the way you show power, by getting them to respect you. Because if you are taught in English, if you have a school, and we have constructed a school for you, so we are the providers of education for you. We are making you civilized. From barbaric backgrounds you have come, and we are making you civilized now. This is what the agenda is. It's actually colonialism. If you see in India, India was really colonized when the education system started by the British. Until then, you know, they were they still had, I mean, their education was still the Vedic education, and you know religious and cultural. So even though conquests were made in India, people did not really lose their sense of um, pride in their culture, more or less. I mean, they did, because the Brahmanas have already deteriorated, and we can see from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Chaitanya Bhagavat, how they were already deteriorated condition, especially Chaitanya Bhagavat. Um, the Brahmanas were fallen like anything. But the real last nail in the coffin was the education system, where it is now thoroughly in the psyche of the people. They have abolished every other education system, and this is the education you have to follow. So, without that education, you are uneducated. So, we are the providers of education, we are the providers of enlightenment, we are the providers of civilization for you uncivilized barbarians. And then, today, still, we are under that colonial mindset that, oh, they are our lords, anything Western is good. This is modern. This is what we say is modern. Modern means what comes to mind? All these kind of people who don't wear dhotis, to people who wear, fancy Western stylized clothes. Anything Western is style. Anything Western is modern. It's trendy. That's the kind of soft power where they subjugate you without guns and weapons pointing at you. You yourself willingly will submit. This is much more dangerous than hard power, because hard power is easy to perceive, and we can see the oppression. Soft power, you cannot. You are oppressed with your own, you're believed to, and that's how exactly Maya works. Maya is a soft power, of course. There is a hard power of Maya, where many sufferings we see, where it's like real hard power of Maya, where the suffering is just visceral and physical. But there is soft power of Maya, which is to convince you to take the wrong path, and to make you think that you're doing the right thing. That is much more dangerous than straight away, straight up showing you that this is suffering and I'm going to give it to you. More than that is like, for example, to chop off parts of the body of someone is horrible, it's horrendous. I mean, it's torture to it's unimaginable torture to chop off bodily parts of someone else while they're alive, right? With the transgender community, where today's verse, sex life according to religious principles is Krishna. The effect of this non-religious sex life is that, which is transgenderism, girls are paying so-called doctors to chop off their own breasts so that they look like men. and men are getting their private part, penis, chopped off too, and then make it look like a woman's private part. How much infections such procedures involve, and how much pain and horrible. I mean, and it is praised. Oh, this is freedom of expression, freedom of equality in society, inclusivity. They use all these words, but underlying such words is the horrendous torture, where it is no more torture, it is glorified now, because you yourself are agreeing to chop off your bodily parts. If another person does it, oh, what barbaric torture. But if you do it, that is freedom of expression. So to convince you to do it, that deception is far more dangerous than the gun. That's why the pen is mightier than the sword, they say. The pen is mightier than the nuclear bomb. Because in nuclear bomb, Hiroshima and Nagasaki, 200,000 people died. With abortion, 200,000 children are being killed on a daily basis in the world. 200, exactly the same amount of people who died in the one day of the nuclear bomb. A nuclear bomb was only set off once in the 20th century, never again, two bombs. But every single day, children are being killed, even today, because of the deception of language. That deception is far more dangerous than the weapon. So that's why when we go away from Krishna's rules, the rules set up by Krishna, we will fall so bad that we don't even know how bad we felt. How can we come to a state of society where people are willing to chop off their own bodily parts? How can you convince them to chop off their own bodily parts? That is how deceptive language is. That's why language, we have to be very careful with the words these people use, because in the behind the curtain of nice sounding words is the utter savage, barbaric motives that drive it. And if we have the eyes to see the reality, then we will see it for what it is. Otherwise, we will be oblivious. That's why, as devotees, of course, I will be making another dedicated video on transgenderism, because that's another topic. Because many devotees are not aware. So, as devotees, we should not even engage in the terminology, in the language that these people try to force us to use. For example, in India, I don't know how much of it is, how much of a problem it is, but in the West, especially in America, you are encouraged to you know, say your pronouns. Like they say, oh, um, I am Tattvavit dāsa, my pronouns are he and him or his. You look at me and use the correct English grammar by way of how I look, how my body looks. That's it. I'm not going to tell, even if so, we should not even participate. Even if we have to say, a woman has to say, oh, my pronouns are she, her, or a man must say he, him. We should not do that. In other words, we are just accepting, oh, I just want to be nice to them. No, 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 no. Be nice to them means tell them that this is not to be engaged in. Use common sense. So I'm not going to tell you my pronouns. You figure out by what you see. Okay? You don't come and tell me to ask me to tell the pronoun or tell my pronouns. I should tell my pronouns. No, I'm not going to do that. And if somebody say, oh, my pronouns are they, them, I'm sorry. I will not use incorrect grammar. He, him, or she, her. That's it. And they use things like sex assigned, gender assigned at birth. You know, this is a whole topic. This is a crap topic, honestly. But I'm surprised that even devotees, because I have spoken to some, and they're unaware of the deception. They're unaware. Sometimes the so-called trans means what? They have transitioned. Crap. A man can never become a woman can never become a man. Never. So we should not even say, oh, he was a man, he now became a woman. No, we cannot say that. We should not say that. Don't buy into any part of their language that they use. They will come up with, oh, this is inclusivity. See through the deception. Be intelligent enough to see through the deception. Use Shastra to see through the damn deception that they are presenting. Don't fall for those tricks. Oh, he became a woman. Oh, she became a man now. And they even take hormones, artificial hormones, to make them sound like a man. And it's quite scary because you can't even. And they will have beard. The women who so-called become men, right? They have beards and they sound like men fully. Unless you would know their history, sometimes you cannot even make the way they are trying to show the deception. And they say, oh, gender is a social construct, sex is biological, but gender is a social construct. It's fluid, then if it is a social construct and if it's not anything to do with biology, why the hell are you changing so many of your biological bodily parts by chopping them off or putting something there? Why are you doing that? This should be our questioning. We should address the thing. We should be able to articulate our arguments and dismantle the whole nonsense. See through the illusion. Every single aspect, like, we have to know, because these things are going to affect our society. We may say, oh, come on, Prabhu, why should we be concerned? This is, they are doing whatever they're doing. No, they're all demons. We should just think of Krishna and, hear Bhagavatam and chant Hare Krishna. Yes, but don't remain a stupid fool, because tomorrow your children are going to school. Better don't send them to school. That's cool, and do homeschooling if possible. But the reality is, most of the devotees' children are going to school, and eventually these things will be normalized and they'll be groomed. And one day, if one of the children of the devotee comes and says, I want to be a girl, a boy comes and says, I want to be a girl, and or he already says that I am a girl, or I'm a bisexual, or I'm a bloody, you're engaging in illicit sex. So we have to know these things. What exactly is wrong with these things? Every detail of the nonsense that is going on, we have to know why there is dharma and adharma, and the one who knows dharma should also know what is adharma in order to, and in detail. It's not just to, just a cursory look at adharma. No. Know it in stark detail so that you can articulate against it effectively. Because there will be many arguments that will be thrown at you, which you have not prepared for, you have not thought about. We should not be like that. We should know every argument that is in their book, and we should be able to argue against it and present our philosophy. They are giving now in America castration pills to children, and they call it puberty blockers. Oh, you are 8 years old, you're a girl, you think you're a boy, you're not sure? Okay, fine. We'll give you these puberty blockers that will delay your puberty, so you have more time to decide which you want to be, girl or boy. While they say that, it's not exactly a puberty blocker, there's no such thing. What it effectively does, it chemically castrates that person. And those so-called drugs are actually only given to sex offenders who are, serial rapists or who have sex, offenders. These pills are given to them so that even if they do something stupid and rape someone or something, that woman is not going to get pregnant. It's castrating them. And if you give to a woman, then her reproductive hormones will be affected. So they are giving these things to children, and without the parents' consent. In one of those states in America, if the child comes to the parent and says, I want to be the opposite sex, and the parents refuse, he can actually go to the court, and the court will take custody of him, and he can fight against his parents. Parents have no right to fight against it, and he will be given all, he or she or whatever they want to call themselves, it, or whatever. That's why sometimes I make a joke out of it. He, she, or it, or shit. You know. So it's basically shit. It's stool. Stool. I mean, what are they meditating on? Genitals. Their whole thing is just to mutilate their genitals and talk about their genitals so much that I have this orientation, that orientation. This is where I want to put my penis in. This is what kind of nonsense talk is this? And this is a big movement. Where you want to put your bodily private parts, which hole you want to put them. Stupid. I mean, you have to be. There has to be some sanity in the society. Look at where the society is going, and that's there. Therefore, is shit. That's what I would call it. You pronounce is shit then. So this is what is happening, and the lawyer, I mean he can go to the court, and then the court will take full custody of the child, and he or she can, whatever shit, can put the thing in front of them, the case, and then they will be allowed to undergo whatever surgeries they want under full protection. What? Protection. We will protect you. Nobody will stop you from cutting your own bodily parts. We will safely cut it for you. Deception of language. And this is all happening because adharma. And that's why we have to know what is adharma if we profess to know dharma. Okay? Which is here mentioned 7, 15, 12, 13, and 14 and 15 maybe. विधर्मः परधर्मश्च आभास उपमाचलः अधर्मशाखाः पंचेम धर्मज्ञो अधर्मवत् त्यजेत्. There are 5 branches of irreligion, appropriately known as irreligion, vidharma, religious principles for which one is unfit, paradharma, pretentious religion, abhasa, analogical religion, upadharma, and cheating religion, chaladharma. One who is aware of real religious life must abandon these 5 as irreligious. You see here, dharmagnya, one who is aware of religious principles, adharmavat tyajet. So he should know what is adharma in order for him to know what is dharma. He should be able to distinguish between the two. Otherwise, he's confused. Oh, it's all right. It's not so bad. It's just inclusive. Yeah, we have to be compassionate for them. We have to accept them. We want to accept them. Actually, this is compassion. We should know that yes, we should operate out of compassion. Compassion for what? If they are wanting to cut their body, you have to compassionate for that. If they are mentally confused about who they are, we should be compassionate. Yes, actually, affirm. We affirm their confusion. That is compassion. Or to actually counsel them and go get them out of it. Even better still, don't even let them get into it. Be warned. So we have to be absolutely guided by scripture, and we should be so sharp at identifying these problems. And don't let them go under your radar. Be very, very aware of the tricks of Maya. So who is this? Homosexuality is now common in colleges too. This is what happens. If adharma is let loose, then this is what will happen. So dharmagyaha adharmavat tyajet. So we should know, and that is what Bhagavad Gita also says. प्रवृत्तिं च निवृत्तिं च कार्याकार्ये भयाभये बंधं मोक्षं च या वेत्ति बुद्धिः सा पार्थ सात्विकी. That understanding by which one knows what ought to be done and what ought not to be done, what is to be feared and what is not to be feared, what is binding and what is liberating, is in the mode of goodness. So this is proper understanding. We have to be at least situated on goodness, if not Shuddha Sattva. So Shuddha Sattva means, of course, goodness, the quality of goodness is already included and it's pure goodness. So in that state, a person is very aware of what is correct and what is wrong and what is to be feared and what is not to be feared. What is religious and what is not religious. Um, but if we are in the mode of passion or ignorance, how we will be there when there is lack of knowledge? Then this is what will happen. यया धर्मम अधर्मम च कार्यम चाकार्यमेव च अयथावत प्रजानाति बुद्धिः सा पार्थ राजसी. O son of Pritha, that understanding which cannot distinguish between religion and irreligion, between action that should be done and action that should not be done, is in the mode of passion. So this is where confusion starts. We don't know. Indians mostly are like this. Hindus, they don't even know what is right and what is wrong. Like anything goes. We are tolerant. They boast about it. Actually, it's a weakness. It's not tolerance. It's stupidity. You are unable to discern what is correct and what is wrong, and you are guising it under the word of tolerance. Don't show it as a virtue. It's a vice. To be unable to be able to discern what is right and what is wrong. That's a vice than a virtue. It's not a virtue. Now, adharmam dharmamitiya manyate tamasavrita sarvarthan viparitamscha buddhihi sapartha tamasi. That understanding which considers irreligion to be religion and religion to be irreligion under the spell of illusion and darkness and strives always in the wrong direction is in the mode of ignorance. Purport. Intelligence in the mode of ignorance is always working the opposite of the way it should. It accepts religions which are not actually religions and rejects actual religion. Men in ignorance understand a great soul to be a common man and accept a common man as a great soul. They think truth to be untruth and accept untruth as truth. This is what is going on. If I say, oh, a man has become a woman, she has become a man, I'm accepting truth as untruth and accepting untruth as truth. That kind of people who say that, oh, I have become a woman now or I have become a man now, from top to bottom, they are a lie. Top to bottom, they are a lie. They are personified lies. They're trying to deceive. So we have to know. We have to know. We cannot be foolish. Hmm? In all activities, they simply take the wrong path, therefore, their intelligence is in the mode of ignorance. Some people take the neutral stand. I have nothing against the homosexuals. And no, no, no. We have something against the homosexuals. We don't hate them. We actually love them more than anyone else. We don't want them to be confused. Okay. Already everybody is confused that I am the body, which is confusion enough. On top of that, which body yours also you don't know. What kind of nonsense, confusion upon confusion. To think that I am the body is already a confusion. On top of that, to think what body I have, that also I don't know. What kind of nonsense confusion squared I am in? Confusion on confusion. Confused confusion. So we have to be very alert, because this is not something far distant to laugh about. This is going to be the reality if things continue as they're going to do. I mean, this is Kali Yuga. You cannot expect something to become so better unless there is the Krishna consciousness. So things will only become worse from here on. So it will affect. It will when the problem hits home, close to home. Then it will be nightmare. Imagine being a parent of a child who says he is the opposite sex or she's the opposite sex. She's a guy now and or he's the girl now. And we know some families like that, and they're suffering like anything. Um, so this is stupidity. So we should not just see it as some far off problem. We should know what it is, and we should know from the Shastra, and we should be able to articulate it from the Shastra. Be sharp. Shastra Chakshu. We should see from the eyes of the Shastra. Don't just materially argue about it. Spiritually argue about it. Only sex that will bring rise to children in the scope of marriage is legitimate sex for Krishna's service, for making them devotees of Krishna. That's it. Any other sex is illegitimate. What to speak of homosexuality or bestiality or whatever. Yeah. So this is another thing. I was staying in an ISKCON 2 years back. There was a boy trying to do all this kind of nonsense at night with his roommates. Sadly, he was then shifted to my room, but he was afraid of me, so I managed safely by the mercy of Srila Prabhupada and Krishna. That's the other thing. If they come here, oh, you should accept homosexual people also, you should be compassionate. If they come here, oh, Brahmachari Ashram, this looks like a good deal, then they will come. What do you want to do with them? Because that's what they want. So, so we cannot allow. We cannot allow this nonsense. So to be careful, as much as of course we want to help them by introducing them to chant and asking them to read, and eventually, hopefully, if they come out of that, good for them. We want to help them. We don't hate them, but helping means to get them to reality, not go further and further into the illusion. So that is that. So any other questions or comments on this topic? Of course, I will do a dedicated video on this as well, with more detail. I mean, it's a disgusting topic, honest, to be very honest, but I don't want our devotees to fall prey to any of these things, or to be alert in raising their children, and so that they also don't fall prey, because children are very vulnerable, and the way they groom them in schools nowadays, in America, it's already happening, and if not checked, whatever American culture will bleed onto every other country. And it's some, as you said, the boy who was that Priyansh Das saying homosexuality is now common in colleges too. So these are happening. India also, uh, they also become a little bit open to this. So we don't want to be open to this. We want to tell them why it's to be closed. That business has to be closed. There are some people who are like that. Let them be the fringe of the society, eunuch. Let them be that. But the, the mainstream of society, there does not need to be a grooming of this sort, where ordinary people are made to change into those, you know, yeah, transfer types, or what are they called? Transformers. We don't want transformers either. We want, we already transformed many bodies in this material world. We want to get back to our original body, spiritual body. We don't want transformers. How to do bhakti living with demons? To not live with demons. Well, you have to try to come out of the demon association. For now, if you cannot immediately do so, start chanting first, reading, try to cook yourself, eat Krishna Prasadam, and associate with online at least now as you're doing. So by doing that, eventually you may get the opportunity to actually really associate with devotees. So then it will be much better. All right. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Prabhupada ki jai. श्रीमद् भगवद गीता की जय. अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय. निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे. हरि हरि बोल. हरे कृष्ण.